on Tuesday with how this is going on, because we talk about the length of Evan Mobley, the size, the strength, but also the agility to guard guards as well. And Jason Tatum, as we know, is 6'9" and can get to the paint and do all these different things. Having somebody like Evan Mobley on him will not only give Jared Allen the ability to play alongside him and play against Al Horford, but it is also going to be an area where Evan Mobley can showcase his defensive identity again and again in a season where his offensive game continues to improve.
Mm-hmm. Who do you think is key in this matchup for the Cavaliers? Who do you think is a key player, low key, that really needs to step up to win this game, and they are the X factor?
I mean, to be honest, it would probably be Karis LeVert if he plays. He's also questionable with knee soreness as well. He may or may not play. I believe he's going to be a game time decision. He's had that knee soreness earlier into the season as well that kept him out a couple games. But I believe that if Karis is able to play, he's going to be someone to look forward to. And if he's not able to play, it's going to be Ty Jerome again, because is he going to be able to contain Drew Holiday, Derek White on the perimeter when it comes to the defensive end? And how is he going to be able to facilitate with Donovan and Darius on the floor at the same time for multiple different outings and different rotations that Kenny Atkinson puts together? But I think the biggest thing is whether or not the Cavs continue to use the 2-3 zone that we've seen against the Charlotte Hornets and the Chicago Bulls lately, because it's something that has worked against teams that can get into the paint and still knock down shots, because you allow Jared Allen, Evan Mobley to contain the rim. And then you have the guards using their mindset, their IQ to protect the perimeter and also make high IQ plays and get into the passing lanes and create offense that way in transition. So I think it's definitely something to keep an eye on, more so on the defensive end. But the Cavs, which is different from last couple years, they have the ability to shoot and score at the same level, if not better, than the Boston Celtics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you foresee them playing a zone, because they are playing a high octane offense that can pretty much get to the hoop anytime that they want to?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think it's something to look forward to if the Cavs can't contain JB and JT on the perimeter in isolation situations, because then you can have two guards be able to flash and be able to blitz those guys on the ball and still have the comfortability of the small forward or Evan Mobley being able to move out to the perimeter to get the other player as well.
I'm like, why does everybody have to be hurt right now? The biggest game on the season. Why is everybody going out? But, one of the things that this Cleveland Cavaliers have that they haven't had in a long time is a deep bench. So that's definitely a great thing. And who on the bench do you think is key besides Ty Jerome? Who else can come in there and get it started for you?
Yeah, I think it's definitely interesting because this bench is really deep, but you also talk about the players that are out or questionable. So it's difficult to tell right now. But I feel like George Niang is going to have to step up into a big piece as well, just because of how strong and deep and lengthy the Boston Celtics defense and offense are, because George is going to have to play power forward at times to come in for Evan Mobley or go in when Evan Mobley's at the 5, because they don't have Dean Wade for this game. So George's role is going to be on a higher level than it has earlier this season. And yeah, I think he's a guy that you have to look for as well.
Who do you think is going to be? Well, I mean, Jason Tatum. Okay, let me re-ask my question. Donovan Mitchell pretty much made a plea to officials to make calls against other teams when appropriate, but the Cavs, take it inside and stuff like that, and they're fouled. He said, I know I'm probably going to get fined for this. But, and he put statistics in, to that complaint about we're going to the basket this amount of times, and we're getting these free throw calls, and we're not getting them, and things like that. How much do you think officiating, being, it's an NBA Cup game, it's in Boston, green on green floor? How much do you think officiating is going to affect this game? Because I feel like the officiating is not going to be even.
I mean, I don't think they go in looking for officiating to determine a game. Like, I know you grew up in sports. I know I grew up in sports. You never look to the referee or the umpire to make a decision for a
Yeah.
game. You never want the game to be that close that it can come
Yes.
down to that.
Exactly.
So Donovan obviously was accurate in his statement at this time. It was a couple of weeks ago. It was earlier into the season where they were one of the top teams that going to the basket, and also were one of the top least amount of teams in foul calls. So it was definitely warranted. It was statistically based, but Donovan and everybody on this Cavs team understand what Boston is. It's not about the refs. It's not about anything. It's about going in and making a statement with whoever they have. There aren't going to be excuses. There's not going to be any of that when it comes to this team. It's more so about how they can impact the game on their ends, control the things that they can control, and go in with the mindset that it might not be an even playing field, but they still have to go and do what they have to do to make it as close or as favorable for themselves in Boston.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Cleveland K, how you doing?
I'm good. I love that we're talking Cavaliers. It's about time somebody talks about the Cavaliers.
Well, we love the Cavs here, and we had a victory Monday. It wasn't because of the Cleveland Browns. It was because of the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are sitting at 15-0, as you know. Yesterday was a big game, in which the Frog, I know y'all seen the Frog by now, where the Frog came and danced at the end of the game.
Explain the Frog to me. I don't understand the Frog. I don't get the Frog. The Frog is weird. Help me with what is the Frog?
Ethan, you want to explain the Frog?
It's just a win streak frog. It is literally just something random. It's Cleveland. That's how Jared Allen described it. It is Cleveland. It's gonna be
like,
weird.
Is it like a fan showed up in a frog suit? Is that how it got? I don't understand.
Yeah, so it was it was
ahead,
outside the stadium. Yeah, it was like outside the arena, and like it was a video that surfaced that it was some random frog dancing, and then apparently it turned into a win streak frog that I believe began when it was like 4-0, I assume. So
yeah,
it's just been going since then. It's nothing related to the Cavs except for the one time where the frog was in the building dancing with Donovan, Darius, and Jared after a win, and inside the costume it was actually Moondog.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Inside the frog costume?
Yep, it was Moondog in his costume inside of a frog costume.
I feel a little better about that. I'm worried about some weird fan, in a frog costume working their way into the bench area and being like, "Hi, I'm the frog." It's very weird. Like, why a frog? I don't know. I'll take it.
I think it's a cute gimmick though, and hopefully that frog can come in, Wednesday's game with a 16-0 sign.
I want to get to 16 because I want to be in sole possession of second place on the winning streak row. You know what I'm saying? But I need to lose a game after that just to get that off their back so that nobody's thinking about it. At some point, it's going to be in their head, right? And I know Golden State started 24-0, but if I'm not mistaken, that was the season they blew a 3-1 lead to us in the finals. So starting off 24-0 don't mean nothing, but 16 would be nice.
Yeah, every team that has started 15-0 or better has made it to the NBA Finals, but only one team has actually won it in that same season.
Which team was that?
The Houston Rockets.
Yep.
Oh wow, that was a while ago, huh?
Yep, Hakeem the Dream.
With Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yep.
Okay. All right, y'all. We're gonna take a quick break, right quick. Ethan, you still got a few minutes to hang out with us?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. All right. We're going to be right back. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back. got multiple uses out of that. Mm-hmm. All right. Welcome back to Her and the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and I'm here with Miss Cleveland Kate, and we are interviewing Mr. Ethan Sands of Cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer. Now, Ethan, you had an A1 article the other day, right?
Indeed, indeed.
What's the A1 article for those of us that don't know?
Front page story of a newspaper, because we actually still have one at the Plain Dealer. We are not dead just yet. Still working and making sure we got our newspaper coming out every day. So I had my story about the Cleveland Cavaliers. So fans that didn't know basketball too much got to meet the guys and hear more about them.
Was it fold?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
thank
the
you.
thing, Rachel. Was it above the fold?
Yeah. It was at the top. Yes, ma'am.
That matters, girl. That matters, because in the old days you would fold the paper in half and then you'd fold it again, and people would walk around with it, and you wanted your story to be on that part above the fold. That meant everybody could see it when they were walking around with the newspaper. I'm
100%.
old.
Yep. It was bigger too. It was like the whole front page.
Yep.
So that was pretty cool. Awesome. Great work, Ethan. I know you're proud of yourself. I'm proud of you too. That was amazing. You do great work. And that's one of the reasons why, we wanted to have you here on the show today. So what are your overall thoughts, about this team though? This moment where they're at right now, and what are your thoughts about what Kenny Atkinson has been able to do with this team? And I don't look at it as, okay, so let me put it like this. The team made no additions in the offseason other than the draft pick. Why wasn't JB Bickerstaff able to get this production out of this team last year or the year before?
So this is a team that has it's a changing identity. I don't want to say it's new just yet, but J.B. Bickerstaff was a old school defensive minded coach. He was tasked with bringing a team that was out of contention in the lottery and trying to figure its way out back into playoff contention. And he did that, right? And you got to give credit where it's due. J.U. Bickerstaff, 99 wins over the last 2 seasons. And every year that Evan Mobley was in the NBA, they have been in contention, whether it was play-in, first round, or Eastern Conference semifinals last year for the first time without LeBron James since 1993. So you can't say that J.U. Bickerstaff didn't do what he was asked. It was just time to take it to the next level, and he wasn't the guy in this locker room to get that done. Kenny Atkinson, though, he's the guy. It's because Kenny Atkinson has got buy-in from his players. He's got buy-in from the guys, and it's not only because of the offensive schemes that he's put out, but it's also how he's kept everybody involved. He's asking them how they want to run practices, how they want to run film sessions, and all these different things. And the biggest thing for me was the other day, we after the Charlotte Hornets game, we talked to Jared Allen, and he mentioned that the 2-3 zone that they had implemented that we talked about earlier was actually designed by Max Strus. Sure, it might not have actually been designed by him, but he was the one to implement it in practice, right? Kenny Atkinson is known for his zones. He had, I think, the top 3 zone when it came to when he was the coach in Brooklyn. Now they implement it again. So why is the Max Strus piece a bigger portion? Because Max Strus has been injured for the first 15 games. He's going to be out for at least another 2 weeks because he doesn't get reevaluated until 6 weeks after the injury. All that good stuff, right? But him still feeling valued, feeling engaged with this team, that is what Kenny Atkinson has done for every single player. And about it. George Niang said, I don't feel like if I miss a shot, I'm going to come out of the game immediately. Sam Merrill said, if I would have took 2 shots in the first half, I'm probably not going back in. So there's a different buy-in because there's a different belief being instilled in these players by Kenny Atkinson that they simply didn't have over the past couple of seasons.
Mm-hmm. Kate, you got any questions? I'm sorry, I keep asking Ethan questions and not letting you get a word in.
No, you're fine. I don't want to say I wasn't a fan of JB Bickerstaff, but I felt like he kept trying to do the same thing every year, and when nothing was changing, and it was just time for a change. I agree. He's very defensive minded, and that's not, in general, that's not what the NBA is right now, and it's certainly not what this Cavs team is. I have a friend who likes to do the single day sports betting stuff, and the over and unders are always like 225, 230, and I'm like, I remember when hitting 100 points, you got chalupas. Like, we were in the crowd cheering we were hoping to get to 100 points. And now if they don't get $120, it's a bad night. So it's a run and gun game. I love this 10-man rotation. I wonder how many other teams have enough talent on the bench to do it. Do you think there will be more trying this by the time we get to the All-Star break, seeing how well it works for the Cavs?
I mean, it's interesting you say that, right? Because obviously we saw how they played against Steve Kerr in the Golden State Warriors, who we know Kerr is going to put out 13, 14 guys on the floor. But J.B. Bickerstaff was very honed in on this 8-9 man rotation. And that hurts them when it comes to the playoff time and how those are expected to play 35, 40 minutes a night in those lineups are now derailed or hampered or whatever you want to use because they've been playing at that rate all season. This way, Kenny Atkinson is using these different minute allocations to allow other players to not only get reps and get confidence in different roles with different players in
Okay, Ethan, can you hear us? We're in a little bit of static from you.
I didn't know if that was me. That last thing you said, we heard was some static.
Yeah. We can hear you, but it's staticky.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Well, that was a little better. It's coming back. I think you run into situations where, under the old system, Donovan's got to play more minutes than you want. Like, I don't want him on a pitch count, but I want fresh legs for the playoffs. If it's coming down the stretch and we're in trouble, he didn't have anybody else to put in, and guys weren't consistent in how many minutes they were getting in each game. And now with those guys coming off the bench, they know they're going to get minutes. They're going to get time to warm up, to get into the groove of the game, to hit their shots. And they're getting 15 to 20 points a game consistently from your 6 to 10 guy. That's huge. That's huge. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and then one of the things Ethan, we're still getting a little bit of static from you. We're probably gonna let you go soon. But another thing, like I was wondering was gonna be the minutes tomorrow. So Donovan, was off yesterday. So I'm just thinking because of the matchup that they haven't really been playing over 30 minutes a game. So they've kind of been able to get the minutes down. What those minutes are going to look like tomorrow. Are they going to go up tomorrow?
Well, so that'll tell us a lot about Kenny Atkinson. Is he going to stick to his 30 minutes or under, and maybe we lose a game here and there because of it? Or is he going to throw everything at him trying to beat Boston? This is in the playoffs. And winning a game against Boston now doesn't mean nothing in the long run. I hope he sticks to the way he's been managing these games. They get down by 15 and he stays the course because they can come right back again. We've seen them do it multiple times this season. So I think I'm going to learn more about Kenny Atkinson and his coaching style by what he does with their minutes tomorrow.
I think that's really well said.
Okay, you're back.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, I think that's really well said because if you go away from what's been working just to try and match a different team, that's not what's going to help out with going forward, right? Because we talk about how this Cavs team has seen itself get caught up with how other teams have played. The Brooklyn Nets played really, really slow, and the Cavs got caught up in that. Chicago Bulls and Charlotte Hornets play faster. that's the kind of pacing that they don't want to try and match. They want to play their own game and play in the rotations and things that they have set, that they have planned. And that's kind of what we were talking about earlier, Rachel. Like, they have had schedules for these guys on the roster since the beginning of the season. So if you're going to go away from that plan, that's going to deter you from what's going to happen for the remainder of the year and into the playoffs. Because, right, again, we're in November, guys. It doesn't matter until we get to the later months of the season. Sure, they still want to be first place and all that good jazz, but if you get to the playoffs, that's what matters.
So was Evan really hurt
when you're talking about football and there's only – go ahead, Rach.
I was going to say, was Evan really sick, or was that a planned day off against the Bulls?
Oh, he was sick. He was sick as a dog because when he was in Philly, like my other beat reporter at Cleveland.com was in Philly for that game, and he literally was like so sick that he was like, I don't even want to talk to you after the game because I don't want to get you sick. So he literally took a step back, was like, let's wait until after we get back. And he was out the very next game. So, and you could see it when he was playing. Like, he wasn't at 100%. He was moving slower. You could see it in his face. But yeah, he was really sick.
Okay. Okay,
I feel like JB used to play those games. He would say people were sick, and instead of just Kenny would just say, it's his day off. I'm giving him a day off. And he didn't have a problem with it. When you're dealing with a football team and you only have 17 games, I think adjusting to the matchups matters a lot more than when you have an 82-game season. You need to play your game. You need to be consistent. These players need to know what they need to do all year, and then you just hope for favorable matchups when you get to the playoffs and seeding, and that's when you can change things up. It's a long season, people.
Yeah, I know, but I want to win tomorrow. I'm sorry.
I want to win 16, but I'd be okay being 16-1. Just get the elephant off your back. People stop talking about it. No more pressure. Because at some point, I know the guys look like they're having fun. When I see the post-game interviews and stuff, they just look like a bunch of kids playing street ball. They feel so light in their attitude about things. I'm trying to remember which game it was last week where we were up. I think it was the Golden State game. We were up like 30-some points, and Kenny's still yelling at him for doing things wrong. I'm like, that's exactly right. Doesn't matter how big your lead is. You still need to do the fundamental things through all 4 quarters. And I just worried that at some point the pressure of, can they get 20-0? Can they get 25-0? Can they, like, that mark will take over in their headspace, and they don't need that. They're just enjoying the game right now. At least it looks like they are.
Yeah, I mean, Kenny's talked about it. Like, it's in the back of their minds, but they're just focusing game by game and trying to keep going. Like, not more about the streak, but like every win is like you're starting over 1-0. Like that's the mindset that I feel like they've had, and they've needed to going forward. So, yes, Rachel, I think everybody wants them to beat the Boston Celtics because they lost to them in the Eastern Conference semifinals. But I don't think – I mean, the other thing is Donovan Mitchell has had Boston's number in that series, right? He was averaging, I believe it was over 30 points. So, like, do you get that Donovan after a rest game to go into the Garden and play against Boston? Do you get Darius Garland showing you exactly who he's been all season after what happened last year? Do you get the same Evan Mobley? And, like, if you talk about it, sure, they're going to be without a couple key pieces or questionable pieces as well. But if you have Evan, Darius, and Donovan playing at a high caliber, like I said earlier, they can match offensively with what Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and all the rest of the Celtics are able to do because it's by committee. And sure, we highlight those 3 guys because they're the key players, the most important players for tomorrow's game, but it hasn't been that way all season. Somebody other than them has always stepped up along with them. And that's what we talked about earlier.
Yeah, you got to be Boston, man, for confidence and mentality's sake. Like, they got to get that monkey off their back and be Boston.
But Donovan doesn't have to do it alone.
Yeah,
and they got 15 games to show him, mentally, he knows he doesn't have to do it alone. He's got help, and he's got deep help, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing this game.
Yeah, me too. Well, Ethan, I want to thank you so much. We kept you longer than we planned, but you're such a great interview. So how can the people get at you?
You can get me at Twitter or X now or at EJ Elite One, Instagram the same way. I'm also on Blue Sky and Facebook. So basically everywhere, I'm going to be sending you guys Cavs content, obviously 15-0, but for the rest of the season as well. Rachel, thank you guys for having me on. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. And we're going to take a quick break. So you're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We will be right back.
Thank you, guys. Talk to you later.
Bye. It was nice to meet you. Sorry I was late.
No, all good. Sorry about my mic. I just had to plug it out and plug it back in, apparently.
Well, I'm glad we got you back.
Talk to y'all later. Be safe.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, welcome back. All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle, WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports. Make sure you always keep it locked on your regular radio dial at 95.9 FM. You can always download that WOVU app and listen to us on the go. And then also you can listen online at WOVU.org. We always thank you for listening. We always thank you for your support. And I'm here with my girl, Cleveland Kate, today. Cleveland Kate, let's go ahead and get into these Browns, man, because we got to get Ohio State in too. So I'm a little reluctant to give the Browns a ton of time today because the Cavs are the ones that's winning. And unfortunately, the Cleveland Browns.
Did they fire Kevin today?
No, I don't think they're going to fire Kevin at all. I don't think Kevin deserves to get fired.
Oh, I don't either, but I don't know that the Haslam's know what they're doing. I keep checking the Twitter to see if Doug Peterson's gotten fired yet. I figure as long as he's got a job in Jacksonville. Oh, stop, people. They're all over the place. I figure as long as Jacksonville keeps Peterson, we got to keep. I mean, he's a 2-time coach of the year, right? I mean,
I think, there's just been a lot of change that's taken place lately, with Ken Dorsey calling the plays and stuff like that. You got a lot of injuries. What I was told was that he was going to get fired during the bye week, but this was after once he won the game against once they won the game against Baltimore, that saved people's jobs because it was bad. It was on a downward trajectory.
So here's where I'm at. We have had injuries, and I know everyone deals with injury. We had offensive line injuries. We've had quarterback injuries. We have not had good quarterback play. Even Winston has been hot and cold, right? I don't know how you hold the head coach accountable for that. What I will tell you is I was very upset yesterday with the defense. Jim Schwartz had 2 weeks to prepare for the Saints. And apparently his idea of preparing for the Saints was to stop Alvin Kamara. And while I get that, and while they did that, Alvin Kamara had all of 67 yards. As a fantasy football owner, I am dismayed. As a Browns fan, I was happy. You gave Taysom Hill 138 yards. I have said it before, and I will say it again. There are a handful of very special running backs in the league. A handful, less than 5. The rest of them, you could put any running back behind that offensive line and in that scheme, and they will get their yards. And the New Orleans Saints have a line. And Taysom Hill took you for 3 touchdowns and 138 yards yesterday, and that defense never adjusted to him. And that is ridiculous. I don't want Jim Schwartz to lose his job, but I blame that lack of run defense on why we lost that game yesterday. It's not a coaching problem. It's a playing problem. Those players' heads are not where they need to be. The pre-snap penalties are ridiculous. A lot of the after-snap penalties are ridiculous. I can't get, consistent play from week to week. They're painful to watch. And it's only going to get worse because we got the Steelers on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
Steelers coming off a huge win over the Ravens. And let's face it, maybe we'll get lucky because it's here. Maybe they're looking past us and they've already chalked up that W in the win column, and we might be able to get something. Don't know. But then we got a week and a half off to go to the Denver Broncos on Monday Night Football. I got to be on national TV twice in 2 weeks with my 2-8 team. Are you kidding me? I thought we would be 8-2 at this point, Rachel Hill. I was looking at the calendar and I'm like, look, the whole nation's going to get to see. I'm going to be 8-2 rolling in when Pittsburgh comes to town. I'm going to be 9-2 rolling into Denver on Monday Night Football. I'm going to be the shiznits of the things. And I am embarrassed to hold my head up and wear Browns gear right now.
I think the defense was one of the highlights. They was able to get some.
It is, but how are you going to give Taysom? I am so done with the Taysom Hill experiment in New Orleans. I don't understand how he's still in their lineup, and now I do because we gave him 138 yards and 3 touchdowns.
I just Googled him to see what his actual position is because I know
he's their backup quarterback, Rachel.
He's a utility player for him.
So
just
they
like
call him now. He was the backup quarterback, and he was so bad they just experiment with him. They throw him in and do the wildcat and direct snap to him. They throw him in and let him run. They let him do whatever he wants, and defenses can't touch him.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but they were able.
He's
to get
not even fast. He's a big, slow, goofy white boy, and you let him run for 138 yards. I'm aggravated. I've been aggravated with the Saints and Taysom Hill for 6 years, and then to have him be the one that did that to me, yeah. I can't even focus on how well Jameis Winston played because my defense let Taysom Hill run amok.
Yeah, what about? Well, defense was able to get some takeaways, but unfortunately, the offense wasn't able to capitalize upon any of them.
Again.
And that's a sad thing, going back to this offense, Jameis Winston, I didn't expect much from him. What you see is what you get with Jameis because he throws too many interceptions. Yesterday, he didn't throw any. But there are always so many passes that almost are, but people can't hold on to the ball. If they could hold on to the ball, they'd be wide receivers on defense. So, there was takeaways, but no capitalization on those takeaways. And that, is one of the issues, that this team has. And, Denzel Ward, had a great game yesterday. He didn't come out on concussion protocol or anything like that. So you got that Denzel that, you have always wanted to get, that you consistently get minus injuries, but if they did fire Kevin Stefanski, who do you think that they would hire a head coach since you got Mike Vrabel waiting in the wings? So you think it'd be Mike Vrabel they'd hire?
Well, I think it would be Mike Vrabel, but I'm planning on Mike Vrabel taking over Ryan Day's job if he loses to Michigan in 2 weeks. I can't have him get rid of Kevin and then hire Vrabel, and then who am I going to have fill Ryan Day's shoes? I got long reach. I got schemes and plans for everything. I'm right now looking at the NFL stats for the teams. Scoring percentage, touchdown scoring percentage in the red zone. We are 23rd in the NFL.
Oh, good thing we laughed.
We ahead of Pittsburgh. The problem is Pittsburgh don't need to get into the 20 yards and closer to score. They're scoring from like the 40 and 50. I get why Dallas and the Giants are back there, but come on, at home, we're 60% at least at home. 42% of our trips to the red zone don't result in a score. And our problem is we're not even getting into the red zone. We're getting like to the 25. We can't get any past her. Can't get past it. And then our field goal kicker suddenly decided can't remember how to kick a field goal. So now I got to worry about my field goal percentage. I mean, you miss a 51, that's okay. You miss a 37, and I'm a tryout.
Corey Bojorquez, is the savior of this team. Corey Bojorquez is the best player on this Cleveland Browns team.
He is. He's the best punter in the NFL. We are sixth in the last 3 games. We were 16.7%, absolute bottom of the NFL in scoring when we were in the red zone.
Yeah, and then you 3rd for 13 on third down efficiency. So you're not moving the ball to get yourself into any,
At some point, we've talked about this, Rachel. At some point, the defense, Emerson and Ward and some of them guys are going to be, listen, what, I got to score myself? I got to pick 6? A pick ain't enough? I got to pick 6? Because otherwise, we ain't putting no points on the board.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's exactly where they at.
You need 21.
That's exactly where they at. because defense, and that was a one game a couple weeks ago where defense had to, get it done. We didn't win the game, but defense was scoring points. I think we had a pick six. Was that against the Giants?
Yes.
Or whatever, where they had a great defensive day.
So here's where stats are a problem. We had 22 first downs. The Saints only had 19.
Yeah, I know.
We had 70 plays. They had 58. We were 3 for 13 on third down, 1 for 3. We went for it on fourth down 3 times, only made it once. We were getting 6 yards per play when we were passing. We had 377 yards. They had 259 yards. Where they hurt us was rushing. We had 66 yards rushing. They had 214. I'm going to tell you something else. Stats clearly don't mean wins. The Cincinnati Bengals with 4 wins have the leading passer and the leading wide receiver with the most yards. And on their defense, they got the player with the most sacks in the NFL. They lead those 3 categories. They won 4 games. So stats don't mean nothing. All our stats mean from yesterday is we had opportunities. We had the ball. It's not like they kept the ball away from us. We had the ball more than they did, but we couldn't. Where's my time of possession numbers? We had the ball for 29 minutes. They had it for 30. Like, we had it for almost the exact same amount of time. The problem is they ran it so much better than we did. They controlled the clock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And what we had 2 passing plays of 80 yards?
Yes.
On the touchdowns?
Yep.
So that was, part of Jameis's, 400 yards. He almost got that in 2 plays. But,
we had 395 yards. He's had over 300 games. Deshaun still ain't had 1. And he only has 1 win because it doesn't matter how many yards. And what matters is, can you score points? Nick Chubb had 11 carries for 50 yards. Jerry Jeudy finally showed up, had a touchdown and 140 yards. The Saints are a hot mess. They fired their head coach 2 weeks ago. You had a bye. You had plenty of time to prepare for this team. They had 4 wins coming into this game, and you let them get number 5.
They look terrible coming out the bye, and
they look terrible. And now, how are you going to tell me I need to buy tickets to go down and watch them on Thursday night against Pittsburgh?
I think people will, just because it's against.
Oh, people will, but it'll be people from Pittsburgh.
But it's supposed to rain, so I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be great.
I ain't going. I'm not getting my hair wet to watch us. I mean, what did the Lions do to the Jaguars yesterday? What was that, like 52-3 or 52-6? I ain't sitting through that at home.
Yeah, that's your inner black woman, Kate, talking about I ain't getting my hair wet.
I'm not getting my hair wet. Do you know how long it takes to dry this? I'm not getting my hair wet for that. 52-6 is what the Lions did to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Worst beatdown in franchise history. I feel like we're about to let that happen to us. I have no hope for Thursday. I have zero hope for Thursday. Myles Garrett didn't even record a sack this week. No tackles, no sacks, no nothing. What's wrong with Myles?
He was chasing after Derek Carr, but just couldn't get to him on one play I saw.
Yeah, he's a slippery little sucker. I mean, I'm glad. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad we keyed in on Alvin Kamara. He was their big threat. We took Kamara away from them. But here's the adjustments that we don't make on either side of the ball. If you're going to take Kamara away, they're going to have to go to somebody else, right? You need to figure out who that is, and then you need to go handle that. We didn't handle that.
All right, we're going to take our final break, and then we're going to come back.
We talk Buckeyes when we get back because my blood pressure cannot take any more Browns. My hair cannot take the rain. I don't.
I ain't getting my hair wet. Cleveland Kate, 2024. We'll be right back. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
I'm just saying. And it was pointed out to me today that I don't have a Cleveland Cavaliers coffee mug, so now I got to go order one. Because I would have used the Cavaliers Victory Monday mug.
All right, welcome back. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. Have my girl Cleveland Kate with me, and we're going to talk some Ohio State Buckeyes. Big matchup today on Saturday. Number 2 versus number 5. I don't think a lot of college football fans saw something like this taking place because Indiana ain't been good, if I don't know, like ever. So
they've never won 10 games in a season.
Okay, wow. Okay. So never won 10 games in the season, could possibly do it this season. So that would be awesome. Not against Ohio State though on Saturday.
Well, they already got 10. They already got 10. They're 10-0.
Okay. They beat Michigan, didn't they?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Michigan sucks. But you know, this Saturday would have some special meaning for them if they could come in to Ohio State and play for spoiler. It's not going to happen though. Not going to happen. Man, I was hoping that Wisconsin could hold on against Oregon the other day.
Oh my gosh, so was I. That would have been brilliant if I could have gotten Oregon out of my because we'd have the tiebreaker against Oregon.
Yeah.
I'm
like,
just
come on, man. I'm like, seriously.
Yeah.
So you know, huge matchup for the Indiana program. Ohio State, this is your 3rd matchup with a top 5 team this season. I know that they're going to dispatch Indiana like they normally do, but this is a different Indiana team that we've seen before. You know, Michael Penix Jr., you know, he could have been great with Indiana, but I understand why he didn't stay. You know, he wanted to get with a better team, and he actually ended up making a national title game. But you took a little notice when they had a player like that with their program. Don't know much about Indiana because I'm watching Ohio State, and that's pretty much it. But, you know, you got to be doing something special around there to have a team that's never had 10 wins in a season get to 10 wins this season. And right now, the Big Ten is one of the best conferences, if not the best conference in all of NCAA football. So their confidence is high as a kite coming into this game. You know, to be ranked number 5 is an awesome achievement, and that's their highest ranking ever. And I know that their confidence is high.
We got 4 of the top 5 ranked teams are in the Big Ten.
Okay, yeah.
Texas being the loner, then they're at 3. I got to go all the way down to get a 2-loss Alabama team at 7 and a 2-loss Georgia team at 8. I mean, and then we got Ole Miss, Tennessee, 2 losses. The SEC in what it was. I struggle to understand why some of these teams. The University of Miami, Florida, the U is 9-1. Boise State, with Heisman hopeful Ashton Jeanty, their running back, is 9-1. SMU's 9-1. Why are they below a bunch of 2-loss SEC teams? Because it's the SEC. So you got Ohio State, you got Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, and Indiana are in the top 5. It'll sort itself out because looking at the schedules, we all play each other. Mm-hmm. So when it comes time for the Big Ten championship, like if that was held tomorrow, it would be Oregon and Indiana. They're the only 2. They're still the undefeated teams in the Big Ten. So we got to handle business against Indiana. We got to prove to the voters that we belong. When we lost to Oregon, I was not feeling good about this team. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna see my way out of this season. I'm gonna root for Indiana. I'm gonna root for that underdog. And then we played Penn State, and then I saw the defense come to light. In the last couple weeks, it has been a different Buckeyes team for me watching them. I don't know if it took them that long to gel. I don't know if Ryan Day made some changes in how they were approaching things, but I had given up on national championship aspirations for this team. Even though we were undefeated going up to Oregon, I did not think they looked good. They did not look like a good team, and they didn't play like one against Oregon, but they have been playing lights out since then. This Indiana game's huge.
Yeah, but they can't get off to a slow start. As I love
Indiana and I love an underdog, I can't have you beating my Buckeyes the week before I got to deal with Michigan.
Can't get off to a slow start, though, like they did against Northwestern.
No, so, you cannot. You are absolutely right.
Yeah, they got to get off to a fast start and not look like they looked against other teams. This ain't your regular IU team, so they're 10-10 and coming for the team that's always hunted in this league, which is OSU, and
Yep.
this could be the biggest win of their program. Not going to happen. 12 o'clock kickoff. There's a lot of people who are upset about these 12 o'clock kickoffs on Fox and why they are so early. One of the reasons is Ohio State brings ratings. So even though, they've been having 12 o'clock kickoffs, they know that people are going to watch. So millions of people watch Ohio State. So that's another reason. But the other reason is money, So there was an article about it. And, I'm wondering why I got to get up so early to watch Ohio State on Saturday, and that'll be like that next week when we play Michigan as well. It'll be a 12 o'clock kickoff. I don't foresee Ohio State having any problems with Michigan this year. But
I don't either. But you want to know the real reason why we play so many noon games?
Mm-hmm.
Because then people tailgate at 7 o'clock in the morning, no matter what time kickoff is. You cannot have people getting drunk at 7 in the morning and they don't got a game till 4 or a game till 7:30 at night. We got to get that game in at noon while them people are still a little bit sober. I've been there, Rachel. You have been there. A drunk Buckeye fan base is not a friendly place, and those people will start drinking at 7 no matter what time kickoff is. That's why Ohio State, Michigan will never be a night game after the last time. It was bad. It's noon.
Yeah, like the only time it wasn't noon was when it was when it was number 1 versus number 2.
Yep.
And Bo Schembechler died the day before. They changed it to a 3:30 kickoff.
37 police calls for tailgating incidents in the parking lot that night. They will never do another night game because y'all don't wait till 3 in the afternoon to start drinking if kickoff's at 8. You still start at 7 in the morning.
And they probably starting earlier than that. You already know.
No, I can't. Browns fans are doing it too. Thursday, it'll be a mess. Having that Thursday night game in Cleveland. Muni lot will be full at 8 a.m. I'm telling you it will. Because you ain't got nothing better to do.
You think people taking off work?
Oh, yes. Because when they bought their tickets for this game at the beginning of the season, we thought we'd be 8-2 rolling into this. So we took vacation days. We bought a seat. We planned to drink all day, party all night, and celebrate our goodness, and it ain't happening. I think Will Howard is not my favorite Buckeye quarterback of all time. He doesn't even have 2,500 passing yards this year, but they've got enough of a well-rounded team. You got Jeremiah Smith at wide receiver with nearly 1,000 yards. You've got Denzel Burke at corner and Sonny Styles at safety with really impressive numbers from interceptions and tackles and things. You've got Keyshawn Judkins, who's got over 700 yards rushing, and then Travion Henderson with almost 700 yards rushing. They're like within 50 yards. That double threat rushing, I think, is really what's been doing the Buckeyes proud. Emeka Egbuka has got 600 yards this year, but I haven't felt his presence like I have in previous years. The same with Carnell Tate. Now, Jeremiah Smith is just pretty to watch on the field, and he's pretty in person too, let me tell you. And I don't care if he's Geno Smith's little cousin. I think we have a whole lot of average players, which makes it a good team as opposed to previous years where you had superstars.
Yeah, and that's it for us. You've been listening to Her and the Huddle.
Sorry, I'll just keep talking all day. Sorry.
95.9 FM. You are fine. Go Cavs, go Bucks, and go Browns. We're out of here.
15.
Hey, good show today.
Good job. Love you.
Yeah, good show today. Love you. Where you watching the Browns game at? Home?
Home.
Okay.
Yep. I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out if I got credentialed or not. They've been acting funny this year, so that one guy.
Last time I got credentialed, you and I went to a Pittsburgh game and watched Myles Garrett rip somebody's head off. So yeah.
I know.
And then last year when I was in Pittsburgh, they hurt my Nick Chubb. So, but they're coming here. I don't know which team will show up. I don't know if I'll watch part of it, but if it's ugly by halftime, I'll just go to bed.
Yeah. Pretty much. I think that the Browns will be able to pull it off because they win the games they're not supposed to. So
right. And I'm so excited that I was late. So you talked basketball for the first part of the show because every talk radio show I listened to today wanted to talk about the Browns. And I'm like, y'all, the Cavs are 15-1.
mm-hmm.
Can we at least start with the Cavs and then get to the Browns? I know it's a Browns town, but it's frustrating. All right.
Yeah, I had to show my love to the Cavs, man.
Good job,
I
girl.
had to.
Yeah.
All right, girlie.
All right.
I'll
Talk to you later.
Okay.
Next week, I'm in Florida. I'm leaving